Hey everybody, Raziel here, coming at you with a new video in what may become another series on my channel for guides and gameplay, etc. for the game Gigantic. This video is going to provide a brief summary on what the game is and what it isn't based on your assumptions. So, what is Gigantic? Well, it's a new game breaking into the Moba genre that has recently entered into open beta on Xbox One and Windows 10. And get this. It has crossplay, which means Xbox players and PC enthusiasts can finally play a game together, in harmony, or whatever. I know what some of you thinking too, by the way. Ugh, another friggin' MOBA. Blah. I don't know what the sound effects were, but go with it. But this is the point in the conversation where I would slap you on the friggin' nose with a rolled up newspaper and tell you, no, Gigantic is not a traditional MOBA in most aspects. So much so that it could have the tagline, not your mama's MOBA. And you know what? Let's slap a hashtag on that and get that trending. Why not? Let's do it. Anyway, I know what some of you are thinking. Roz, what the hell is a MOBA? Well, for those of you who haven't ventured out of your preferred genre recently or decided to look into other games besides the yearly Call of Duty, a MOBA is an acronym for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena and has some of the most viewed and most played esports titles out there. MOBAs essentially started out as a mod for Warcraft 3 back around 2002. Yes. That is correct. MOBAs have been around for almost 15 years. And since starting out as a mod, has spawned numerous titles which include Dota 2, League of Legends, and Smite. Which that last one I may have played, here and there, a little bit. MOBAs, traditionally, are made up of a map containing 3 lanes populated by friendly and enemy structures that you have to defend or attack with the help of 4 other players and minions controlled by AI. A jungle with buffs is located between the lanes, and your ultimate goal is to destroy the enemy team's base, titan, grand poobah, etc. Matches can be anywhere from 10 minutes to over an hour and produce some competitive, fun, addictive, and sometimes rage-inducing stressful moments. But enough history. Let's get into why the hell you clicked on this video. Let's go back to Not Your Mama's MOBA, Gigantic, and why you should take a gander at this new title. As I stated earlier in this video, Gigantic is not a traditional MOBA at all, and that can be considered a good thing if you have an open mind and not a MOBA purist that has to poo-poo on anything that isn't an established MOBA. Also, before I go any further, I am going to insert this disclaimer here that I do in fact play other MOBAs, other than Gigantic, and I enjoy them. So please don't think that I'm saying you shouldn't play any of those as well. This video essentially is to showcase how pleasantly surprised I was when I picked up the game, and since a number of my friends did not know what this game was about, I figured I'd throw this together and see what stuck. Let's start off with some of the similar aspects that lean the game into the MOBA genre. Right off the bat, Gigantic is free to play. What? Yes, like most MOBAs, Gigantic is free to play. But Raz, how the hell does the studio make money then? Good question, random viewer. Similar to most recent MOBAs that enter the beta phase, etc., Gigantic is offering a Founders Pack, which you can purchase, but it's not necessary to play the game. It unlocks all heroes and future ones in addition to some extra little goodies that may or may not interest you. I'm going to assume that the Founders Pack will eventually be replaced with some other kind of hero pack, or straight up removed once the game leaves the beta phase and enters full release. Also, the studio offers the ability to purchase gems that can be used for cosmetic skins and boosts to help with gaining experience, etc. So to sum it up, like other games in the genre, it's free to play and offers microtransactions. The other main point that places Gigantic into the MOBA field is the heroes. These playable characters all have their own unique abilities and playstyles that range from the tank, bruiser, to the healer support, or even just straight up melt your face DPS. You and your team will select from the roster of heroes to kill, slap, stomp, and hopefully steamroll your way into victory. Or possibly just flail around like preschoolers with no supervision. Don't worry, I will have a basics guide coming down the pipeline to hopefully help guide you towards victory and not into daycare. So now let's get into the good stuff, what makes this game non-traditional, and the main reason why I made this video. When you play other MOBAs, the match usually consists of a laning phase early game, where you and other players stay in lane and slowly rank up, which leads into mid game that has small skirmishes between teams, and eventually into late game, which is made up pretty much of team fights, tug of wars over the more important buffs and objectives. Take that whole process, crumple it up in a ball, and throw it out the damn window. Gigantic does not have any of that. Gigantic does not have a laning phase, or even a mid-game per se. It throws you right into the Battle Royale team fight supreme from the start. Other games' matches can start out slow and continue to have a slap fight throughout the whole match, but Gigantic is frantic, fast, and fun from the moment you load in. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing or putting down the other MOBAs, see previous comment about playing Smite, etc. But rather I'm just trying to explain that if you anticipate any of the phases I previously mentioned, you'll have to pick up the pace real quick. And on that note, Gigantic does not have a laning phase for another more important reason. There are no traditional lanes, no jungle, and hell, there aren't even minions in this game. This also pushes you into a team fight all the time scenario. And since there are no traditional lanes, there are no structures, towers, or phoenixes, etc. Instead, Gigantic has specific locations that contain nodes in which creatures can be summoned, either for your team or for the enemy team. What are creatures? Well, they are what I see as a mix of minions and towers from the other games. They will attempt to defend themselves when attacked and can also aid you in your fight with abilities ranging from healing yourself and allies to walling up paths, but only within a set radius. These creatures play a vital role in your quest for victory, so don't ignore them. Now, in other MOBAs, your goal is to eventually fight your way past enemy defenses and attack the enemy's base or titan, etc., which may also attempt to defend itself against your attacks. And as I am sure the random viewer over there has figured out by now, Gigantic does not do that. Guardians are your objective. Your team defends one, whilst attempting to take out the enemies. You cannot directly attack the Guardian though, or he'll be punted in the next Tuesday. Trust me. No, your team must race to empower your Guardian in order to attack and weaken the enemy Guardian, at which point your team has a small amount of time to damage or wound the enemy Guardian. Sounds confusing? It really isn't. Here's a summary. Kill the enemy, summon and or destroy creatures, and once your Guardian attacks the enemies, go crazy and murder, death, kill. Side note though, if you don't empower your Guardian before the enemy team does, you will have to defend and make sure they don't scratch its eyes out, etc., etc. But Raz, that sounds like it could take forever. Another great question and or statement, random viewer. And to be honest, if the teams are running around slapping each other and engaging in tickle fights, then hell yes, the match could take forever. But Gigantic has already thought of that. Well, maybe not exactly the way I described it. But after 3 wounding phases, whether successful or not, the match will enter into what is known as Clash and become even more frantic and intense. I know, right? You couldn't think it friggin' happened, but it does. The map changes slightly, becoming somewhat smaller and forcing more skirmishes and more wounding phases, etc., etc. The first team to wound the enemy Guardian 3 times wins the match. And then you can take a breather and try to make sense of all the carnage you just went through. Again, I'll have a basics video coming out soon to help explain this somewhat broad summary of a match in a little more detail. Now that I've summarized the awesomely intense nature of the match, let me dive into the next non-traditional aspect of Gigantic. There are no items. There are no ability ranks. So before the random viewer over there asks another question, let me get into it. A vital part of the laning phase, etc., in other MOBAs is that you gain experience and money from killing minions, towers, objectives, etc., which in turn you use to buy items in your store or whatever back at your team's base or fountain or whatever the hell it's called, to boost your attack or defense of each of your characters and your teammates. Also, when your character levels up, you can choose which of your own abilities to rank up to make it stronger, add a debuff, etc., etc. And you guessed it, none of that in Gigantic. You do have abilities that when you level up, you can place a skill point into that ability and choose from 2 options that will enhance that ability in some fashion. no items, no in-game store back at your base. I believe they just want you to hit up that skill point when as soon as you get it, jump back into the field, and possibly shoot someone in the face without worrying if you need to buy this item or that item to counter their item, etc. And I think this is where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm sure that there are a few or even possibly many little nuances that we could go over that makes this so different and yet so similar to other titles in the MOBA genre. And as of this recording, the game is still an open beta, pre-release build, so things may change and more things may be added down the road. For example, more maps could be added, maybe some different game modes, and who knows, maybe some form of a ranked match option. But that's all speculation and or a wish list from the said person speaking out his mouth hole right now. This game is an open beta, it's free to play, so you have no excuse not to download and try it out. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are below. If you had the ability to try out crossplay with a friend on the Xbox or the PC, and if it's worked properly. I haven't had the opportunity myself to try it out, but it really entices me that both platforms are going to be able to play together. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up and or subscribe to the channel, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.